If 70 million people across the country didn't get paid, what would happen? Probably protest, maybe riots, definitely civil unrest. The government is responsible for paying millions of Americans each and every month, and now that's under attack. They're cutting thousands of jobs, and they're messing with the system that allows the agency to function. How will this impact you? Let's get into it. The Social Security Administration, or SSA, is the big dog of government programs. It distributes over $1 trillion to millions of Americans, and it makes up 22% of our budget. Now, that's larger than the defense budget. If you were to compare them side by side, Social Security is almost twice the size of defense. Now, one of them is mandatory spending. The other one is discretionary spending. And a lot of people look at it and they say, well, you shouldn't count Social Security. Don't count that as part of the budget because we have the payroll tax. Well, that's not exactly true. Social Security is part of the unified federal budget. Payroll taxes don't cover everything anymore. Interest payments still count when Social Security borrows from itself. Social Security is also crazy popular. Almost everybody loves it. Almost. Except for very wealthy individuals that wish they could just have the money so they can invest it themselves. Maybe put it in an index fund and then they could get double the return on it, depending on how the market's looking. But most people like it, and it's estimated that simply because the program exists, it pulls millions of Americans, over 10 million, millions of Americans out of poverty. But that doesn't stop some people from calling it a Ponzi scheme, which is really a gross exaggeration. This agency, like many other federal agencies, they're losing thousands of federal employees. The latest number with this one is 7,000. 7,000 jobs will be cut from the SSA. One worker says it's complete, utter chaos. No one knows what's going on. They're just coming up with ideas at the top of their head. One of the biggest impacts doesn't necessarily have anything to do with the employees, but it has something to do with the offices. They're shutting down offices in a lot of rural locations, which impacts a lot of people who cannot travel further to get to another office. And then you have DOGE over here. They want to rewrite the code. They want to change the system, which is good intentions. But by doing that, you really could crash the system for a period of time. The staffing level at this agency will be at a 50-year low. Even in 1999, which was 26 years ago, they had over 60,000 people over there. As you know, the U.S. population today is bigger than it's ever been. And the amount of people that are 65 plus, that grows exponentially pretty much every day. That population is getting bigger and bigger, while the workforce here gets slower and slower. The IG from SSA last year, they flagged a record backlog. There's too big of a backlog. And you could be thinking, well, you know what the solution to that is? Why don't we just automate it? Why don't we just press the technology button and automate it all? But it's not that simple when you have verification and documentation to do, life changes, updates, and fraud detection and appeals. SSA payments are largely automated right now, but you still need that human component. You still need that employee there that can review everything, that can audit, that can actually have a conversation with a U.S. citizen and figure out what's the pain point, what's the disconnect, why are you not receiving the right amount of benefits? So why is all this happening? A lot of this is coming from Elon Musk and President Trump. Actually, interestingly enough, Elon Musk was on a podcast recently and he expressed his views about Social Security. Take a listen to this.
Social Security is the biggest Ponzi scheme of all time.
The real question is, will they stop at a job loss of 7,000? Will that be it? And the answer is no, it won't be, because the SSA has one of the worst attrition rates of any agency. They have a 10% attrition rate. Every year, 1 in 10 people, they escape, they leave, they don't want to work at the SSA anymore. And there's some good reasons why. Here's some reasons why people just don't want to work there. Number one, overwhelming workload and staffing shortages. Keep in mind, this is under ideal conditions. This is under President Obama, President Biden. There's no political pressure to fire everybody. And people here are still complaining about the workload. There's a huge backlog. Everyone understands this about this agency. It's only going to get worse. Then there's low pay relative to stress. On average here, you're looking at 60, 65, maybe 70,000 a year. So most of these positions are between GS5 and GS11. By comparison, if you look at other agencies, look at the Department of Defense, Department of Homeland Security, they tend to grade their positions higher. So it's more likely you can get a GS-12 or GS-13, especially if you live in a metropolitan area. So you can get a better job, pays more, in some cases 6 figures, and less stress by working in another agency. Also, there's outdated technology and difficult customers. The buyouts, the massive firings, the 5-day return to office mandate, everyone back in the office, that's sure to make bad even worse. Let's say you're a middle-aged person and you work at the Social Security Administration. Things are already bad. There's a huge workload. You're coming in every day. Then your coworker quits. And then your other coworker gets fired. So now your workload just increased by 50% or more. You're getting the same pay. You're getting $55,000, $60,000 a year. Do you stay? Or do you look and say, well, wait a minute, I can just jump organizations. I can just get into another position and earn so much more. Why deal and put up with this abuse when I can earn more and have a better quality of life if I go somewhere else? People are going to jump. And then on top of that, you wake up one morning, roll out of bed and realize half the country hates you because you're a federal worker. But even if SSA had the perfect workforce plan, it wouldn't be enough because the systems over there are outdated. The old SSA commissioner had this to say: you're going to see the system collapse and an interruption of benefits. People should start saving now. He also mentioned that this will probably happen over the next 30 to 90 days. Now, what could we see long term from the Social Security Administration? We can see this presidential administration have a push to try to privatize some component of it. I think long-term, a lot of people on the Republican side, they would love to start including stocks and other market assets into these type of plans because they believe it's a better use of money. But the problem with that is it exposes people to more risk, the volatility of the market. Not everybody has the appetite to deal with that. But it could be a situation where they grandfather certain people. Like maybe the older people close to that 62-year mark, maybe they get grandfathered in, but the younger U.S. citizens, they have some sort of a blend, like a 50% stock, 50%, whatever it is. There is appetite, there is an effort, a desire to do that on the conservative side. In addition to the changes at SSA, we're also seeing agencies that are completely locking people out. That's the way you find out you no longer have a job. You don't find out through an email. Nobody calls you and say, hey, bud, by the way, we really appreciate everything you've done, but we have to let you go. No, you find out when you come in one morning and you try to tap your ID card and the door's locked and you can't get in and you just see a red light there. That's what's happening at the Health and Human Services. If you want to know more about that, check this video out next. Stay updated by signing up to the free newsletter down below. Thank you so much for watching. I'll see you in the next one.